What's good, sexies? So, we're back for some more Fire Emblem Heroes, and it is Datamine night, so we have all the information for the Lost Kingdoms banner. Going to be covering the stats for the units, of course. We also have info on Deen, who's going to be our Tempest Trial prize character. And, of course, we have the Hall of Forms units and a whole bunch of other things that we're going to talk about, so let's just dive right in. Okay, first and foremost, we have Hall of Forms characters here. Of course, this round is going to be centered around 3 houses. And surprise, surprise, what do you know? The leaks from last time that were supposedly fake actually turned out to be true. So we have here Summer Dorothea, Summer Ingrid, Summer Sylvain, and Summer Lawrence. I personally don't think this one is worth dropping a Form of Soul on, unless you really like somebody on here and you really just want to get them right away. Sylvain is a 4-star and Lawrence was free to play, so maybe these two are just like, if you wanted them, you probably already got them. As far as Ingrid and Dorothea, though, Dorothea has some value because she is one of the only 2 dancers from 3 houses. So maybe if you don't have her harmonized version, you may be able to get some value out of her. But I think for sure the best unit on this banner is Ingrid. She has a perf weapon and it's pretty strong, so you may be able to get some good stuff on her as well. She is a flyer unit, so she has access to stuff like Guard Bearing and Dive Bomb. We got Rain skills, Tempest skills, Far Trace, or I mean, in her case it would be Near Trace because she is a melee unit. But regardless, there are a lot of good stuff you can get on her if you plan to Forma her, but I would say this is a big skip, honestly. Just hold on to your Form of Soul for something better. Okay, next up, of course, we have the Tempest Trial prize hero, who's going to be Deen. And for this round of Sacred Seals, we're getting Attack and Speed Form 1 and Chill Speed and Res 1. Obviously, you'll be able to level those up to the final level variants. So, Attack and Speed Form, actually quite a welcome Sacred Seal. I do like the form Sacred Seals that we've gotten so far, like Attack and Res and Attack and Defense. They do find their way on my save skill armored units, if I'm not running the breath skills on them instead. And then for a double chill skill, I think that's not too shabby to finally be getting these as Sacred Seals. But just in general, I feel like the chill skills have dropped off in value quite a bit since they first came out. It's not really much of a reason to run chill skills anymore. And a lot of units just have built-in debuffs on their weapon anyway that can, like, for example, the legendary Lucina's Remix, she gets the debuffs effect when she uses Future Vision. So maybe you'd be better off using debuffs somewhere else, but I don't know. I guess that is nice to finally see double chill skills as Sacred Seals. Okay, here's the artwork for Deen. Homie looking pretty badass here. I actually do appreciate this artwork. I like his weapon too. This, like, if you guys have played Breath of the Wild, this kind of reminds me of the 3-point Lizalfos boomerang that you can get in that game, which is pretty awesome. So shoutouts to Breath of the Wild, of course. Always nice to see really good artwork too from the free-to-play units. It's just really cool that we get an awesome unit like that. Alright, so let's go ahead and take a look at these stats now. Unfortunately, I don't have the Boons and Banes yet because it is very early on into the Datamines. I guess we can quickly refresh and see if they've been posted yet. But to my knowledge, there have not been any talks of Boons and Banes at this moment. Alright, let's just quickly scroll. Okay, this is like stat comparisons with other units. Okay, here we go. So, shoutouts to Headshot Fox 713 for this post. Okay, so let me just actually add that while we go. Alright, so Deen has a Super Boon in Speed. Okay, Azura's got it in Attack, Speed, and Res. Alright, Carla has got it in Attack and Speed. Nyla's got Attack and Res. And then Zane has Defense. Okay. Alright, cool. Let's head on over to the stats and let's go ahead and take a look at these guys. Alright, so starting off with Deen, which is a little bit weird. Usually they save the Tempest Trial guy for last. But okay. So he is a cavalry colorless dagger type. He's got 43 HP, 36 attack, 39 speed, 27 defense, and 23 res. And that gives Deen a total BST of 168, which is honestly pretty respectable for a ranged cavalry unit. I believe that's on par with Zagaro or Sedgar, who we got from last time. And he has a super boon in speed as well, which is pretty nice. It's nice to actually get a dagger cavalry unit that's not trash, like Merlinus, for example. So if you're looking to build a dagger cavalry unit, then this guy could be your best option. He's also going to have access to Ouch Pouch as well, or the new variant of Ouch Pouch that we saw from, who was it? Renak? Was it Renak or was it Column? I can't remember which one of them came with that dagger, but basically Ouch Pouch plus lethality is a devastating combination, so probably the best way to go with Deen, especially him being cavalry type. I can imagine, like, give him a trace skill, give him far trace, give him lethality, give him Ouch Pouch, and then give him maybe quick impulse as the sacred seal, or if you can afford to, you can run maybe like support with him with Valoria to get the instant -2 special cooldown count, or you can have Legendary Hector with Ostian Pulse 2. There's just a lot of ways to get cooldown reductions, so just have fun with it, man. Just go nuts and get that insta-charged lethality so he can just go ahead and kill somebody right out the gates. Alright, I guess since we're already talking about Deen, we might as well go ahead and skip a little forward to his skills. So he's got Speed and Defense Snag 3 at 4-star, which is pretty interesting. This is our first copy of a Snag skill that's relatively free to play. Alright, and then we have Odd Speed Wave at 5-star, which sucks. I don't like the Speed Wave skill, or just wave skills in general. They're not very good. Okay, then over here we have Zane's level inheritance. So at 5-star, he's got Defense and Res Solo 3. And then he's got Dazzling Staff 3 at 4-star, which is nice. I'm glad at least they gave him the better of the two skills at 4-star. So if you're foddering your Zane pulls for Dazzling Staff, it's just going to be a lot easier. But really, though, I think what you want to sacrifice this guy for is not Dazzling Staff, but actually his weapon, which is very strong for a inheritable staff. All right, let's head back over to these skills. Oh, did I talk about this guy's weapon yet? Hold on, I don't think I actually covered Deen's weapon. Yeah, all right, hold on. Real quick here, guys. Let me see if I can find his weapon so we can just cover that real quick. If I'm not mistaken, though, his weapon was something really basic. I wasn't very impressed by it. I remember looking at his weapon and thinking, why couldn't they just give him the deep wounds effect that they also gave to the staff on whatchamacallit, on Zane? So I believe he inflicted 7 chip damage to the target and foes within 2 spaces, as well as gaining attack and speed up 5. And then, of course, dagger 7 because he has a dagger, but then he doesn't have deep wounds on his weapon for some reason, even though they gave it to Zane. It just seemed really weird. Like, the one inheritable weapon on this batch, you would think typically they like to keep the same effects on all of the inheritable weapons all across the board. But for some reason, this time they didn't do that, and maybe that's for good measure, because deep wounds on an inheritable dagger would actually be pretty cracked. So maybe they made the right decision there, but still, it seems a little bit shafty to not give it to him anyway. Okay, let's move on to Azura up next. Okay, so this is the harmonized Azura and Leanne. Quite possibly the best dancer in the game right now. I don't really think they have too much competition, at least in summoner duels, where, yeah, like the harmonized skill in summoner duels from 2 range is just so powerful. It's the reason why Dorothea is actually my #1 used dancer in that mode, because she can refresh from 3 houses, so you can attack with Yuri, pull back with Kanto, pop the harmonized skill to dance him from 2 spaces away, and it's just nuts. Like, the amount of plays you can do with harmonized Dorothea, especially with 3 houses characters like Winter, Lysithea, and Also, Yuri, like I just said, is just crazy. So Dorothea, I think, was, prior to this, the best dancer for Summoner Duels. But now that we have this Azura with Gray Waves and Cavalry Movement, I think she might usurp the spot from Dorothea, actually, because even though the roster that she has access to with the Harmonized skill is not quite as powerful as Dorothea, I think she makes up for it with having Gray Waves, because, of course, another problem unit in Summoner Duels is actually Atri. So if you're able to dance her and give her 3 range mobility, things get pretty crazy with her. So this Azura is probably the best dancer, I would say, for Summoner Duels. Okay, so her stats are 37 HP, 37 attack, 39 speed, 16 defense, and 23 res. And that gives her a BST of 152, which is honestly pretty atrocious for this day and age. Though it does make sense because she's a cavalry tome unit and she's a dancer. So her BST just gets completely bombarded into oblivion there. Alright, but like we said earlier, she has super boons in attack, speed, and res, which is pretty good, I guess. I don't really think you need her for combat potential, so the attack and speed super boons, while nice to have, aren't really that necessary. I would definitely not use a Broccoli Florette on this unit, by the way. Even though she has 2 pretty good offensive super boons, you don't really want to waste Florettes on a unit that's not really going to fight that much. Alright, let's go ahead and move on to Carla up next. Carla is actually pretty crazy with her weapon, because she's getting like at least 50% true damage based on her speed stat, which is 42 as we see here. So, alright, hold on. I'm getting a little ahead of myself here. Let's just talk about her stats first, and then we'll come back to the weapon. So, 41 HP. We got 40 attack, 42 speed, 31 defense, and 28 res, giving her a BST of 182, which is pretty good for infantry melee. And then she has a super boon in both attack and speed. Now, this is actually the kind of unit that I would say could be worth using a Broccoli Florette on if she's one of your favorite characters, because as I was saying, her weapon is just like through the roof damage. It reminds me a lot of the Owain refine that we got, where he gets like a vengeance effect, except it's not actually vengeance, because it's just however much HP that Owain has lost, he's going to deal back to you as true damage when he triggers a special. Whereas this Carla is dealing true damage based on at least 50% of her speed. It depends on how much cooldown count the special you use actually has. So if you were to go with Luna, I would say Luna's probably the best bet for her, because it does 50% damage or 50% defense reduction. And then you couple that with 50% speed bonus from possible super boon on her speed to get to 46. And then her weapon gives attack and speed up 6. And then you can give her an A slot passive and a Sacred Seal to raise attack and speed as well. This unit could easily have upwards of 60 speed. So you cut that in half for the weapon effect. That's basically 30 plus true damage that she's going to be gaining there. So Carla with Luna seems like a pretty nasty unit. Not really sure how you'd be able to tank her save for damage reduction, and not dodge-based damage reduction either, because she's actually going to be fast enough to possibly beat you on the speed check. So you would need something like, I guess, Gustav or Pirate Surtur with their instant damage reduction right out the gates. That's probably the only way you survive a hit from this Carla, but definitely not a unit to be slept on. Alright, next up we have Nyla, the Hatari Scorcher. Definitely a little flavor text there that I agree with, because she is scorching hot. So we got 40 HP, 39 attack, 43 speed, 35 defense, and 25 res for her, giving her a BST overall of 182. And then she's got super boons in attack and res. Not really sure why she has res, but okay. I mean, they could have just gave it to her in speed, right? But she already has 43, which is 1 point higher than Carla. So it already balances out, kind of. Like, you get the super boon on her, or you get a regular boon on Nyla with speed. Both of them are going to end up at 46 speed in the end, so it's not the biggest deal, I guess. Alright, so what else is there to say about Nyla? Her weapon is insane. She's got null follow-up, all stats up 5. -1 special trigger, +7 true damage when she's transformed, Kanto Rem +1. It's like, dude, she does so many things. She has Glare as well if you want to inflict gravity on the foes, but you might even be better off switching Glare out for even or odd Tempest instead, just to get the consistent movement with her. I feel like infantry units now, especially the player phase ones, have to be able to move at least in a way that they can compete with the cavalry units, which just have 3 range mobility right out the gates. So for them to compete with those guys, they need the extra movement for sure. Or you could just get Gray Waves to give her +1 movement anyway. That's also another option you could do. And in the B skill, you could give her Hit and Run, just like we've seen on other Nyla builds, to sort of get a pseudo version of Kanto 2, where she has the Rem +1 on the weapon, and then Hit and Run is sort of like having Close Call, which actually would have been nuts if Nyla could get Close Call, but unfortunately Beast-type units are not allowed to inherit those dodge-based damage reduction skills. So we'd have to go with Hit and Run for her to get the Kanto 2 effect. But I do think this Nyla has a lot of combat potential. Seems like a pretty strong unit. Alright, and finally we have Zane, who's going to be our demote character. So in classic Zane fashion, this guy's got all HP. So 47 HP, 30 attack, 36 speed, 23 defense, and 35 res. And he's got a BST total of 171 with a super boon in defense. Okay, again, that's a little bit weird that he has it in defense, where 23 defense, are you really going to be able to make use of that? Probably not. And see, the thing is, the Jester version of Zane, even though his stat line was kind of awkward, he made up for it by having that weapon that just stole the stats of his allies. So Zane's awkward stat distribution isn't really doing him much favors on this version. I do like that he has a lot of HP, though. I would have probably preferred if his super boon was actually an HP. So putting him at 51 for infantry, and then you could run like infantry pulse and maybe Grand Scratcher as well to support some pulse shenanigans if you have an IP team, or like all sorts of other things you could do with high HP, like Sudden Panic as well, pretty good for player duels. So it's unfortunate he didn't get the super boon in HP, but I mean, what can we do? There's not really much to say. So I don't think this guy is worthy of going for the +10 unless you really like him. So definitely a skip there as far as the merge project goes. And that pretty much covers us for the banner. We already took a look at everything we had to take a look at. So let me know in the comments section down below what you guys think of the free-to-play unit Zane. Or not Zane, but Deen over here. I definitely dig his artwork. I think they did a good job with that. And I also like his stat distribution. I think they gave him pretty solid stat spread for a free-to-play cavalry dagger. Free-to-play cavalry dagger. So that's going to wrap us up for the video tonight. I am going to summon on the banner, I think, to go for the double dancer right here. I think they are really good. The only thing is, we have the anniversary coming up next month, and as you guys know, I have gone completely free-to-play, and I don't have Fate Pass. So if luck does not come on that banner, and I summon for these two, and I don't get them, I'm going to be pretty disappointed, especially with the anniversary coming up. So maybe I will actually wait, but I don't know. I might just knock in a couple of summons before I go to my surgery, which is right in the morning. My surgery is at 12 o'clock in the morning, so if I don't summon, then I probably decided not to, but I'll probably try to get to it before I leave for my surgery, just to give you guys a heads up. So that's going to wrap us up for this round of Datamines. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section down below. And this is your boy Tacho signing out. So take care, fellas, and I will catch y'all again on the flip side.